There's somebody far more important than I who does that. But I did have the privilege of being a Michelin test driver for 6 years, as did Ken Payne. We've got an old hat here as well. And so I want to take a moment to introduce our guys, and then I'll speak a little bit about kind of the marketing, how we make the transition from track to street, why we choose to race with who we race with, and really the effect that it has on you guys as the consumer that are so passionate that you drive these tires and these cars every day. So Ken Payne is our technical director here in North America, so he oversees all of our Michelin Motorsports programs, and again, has been a test driver at Michelin in the past for many years. And you know, so with that, we kind of bring our experience to the track, and it's great because we, and a number of our engineers are actually from the test track. So we understand, you know, like the international sign for oversteer with our hands and camber, you know, we understand the driver's language, and that's really important as we're communicating with the guys in the pits, trying to make sure that we're delivering the optimal performance for the driver in the car, because it's a three-way operation that we've got to work with. And then Lee Willard, many of you probably know Lee, have seen him many times at Corrals. He is your #1 designer for many years, both on working with Corvette racing in the pits and throughout the seasons, but also as the tire designer for the street tires and like all of the track tires that you're driving on your Corvettes. Now, standing quietly over the shadow, you'll start to, I mean, it's kind of hard to hide in the shadows when you're like 6'10", but Eric Schmedding is joining the Corvette racing team from Michelin, and in the sense that he'll be I call them same team, different jacket, and so he'll be one of our embedded engineers with Corvette racing, and works primarily on the all-season offerings that you guys are starting to get in the market. So the reason that we're here is because it's not just about winning and world domination in motorsports, it's about learning something. And I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't been a Corvette person my whole life. And I'm going to tell you what made me a Corvette person. I don't actually have one in my garage, because my garage isn't that big. I can't have one of everything that I want. But it was actually you guys that made me a Corvette believer. And that's because for years, coming as a fan to the ALMS races and, you know, working as a tech inspector with IMSA, I've been around the paddock a long time, and I'll never forget at Miller Motorsports Park at the inaugural event there, I walked the entire track during the race, that entire huge perimeter. And I would get tired and I'd stop periodically in grandstands. And I remember once I stopped in the grandstands where all the Corvette racing fans were. And I was like, so, hey, just sitting there. And then the 3-car made this pass right in front of us. There was just this cleanly, beautifully executed pass. And I thought the grandstands were going to shatter, because everyone went crazy. And I thought, oh my God, these are my people. They believe in the same thing I do. Michelin was almost the same way. It was Corvette racing that started the collaboration with Michelin that ultimately led to our really strong tie to the street cars, that led to the development of our OE programs on the, you know, we started with the C6, you know, then we started making replacement for C5s. We started working with the development of all the C7 chassis. I'll never forget when at the test track, we finally got the ZR1 and the buzz and the excitement that came with that car and getting to drive that car. So in the most pure manner possible, I can't think of another mark that represents our track to street heritage and story more than the Corvette brand. And again, it pretty much started because of you guys and racing and realizing what a valuable place that was to be. So in other connections, it's not very common. We have a few track relationships with different tracks across the country, but Michelin is one of the primary partners at the Corvette Museum with the new Motorsports Park. How many people have been there so far? Rock on. Love that track. I cannot wait to take my car there and drive it in anger, because it's an amazing facility, and it's something amazing that basically the Corvette community built. And so we were proud to be a part of that. And it enables us to stay close with our partners, close to our consumers. We love walking around the corrals and looking and seeing what tires are on the cars. answering questions. Love to field questions, both as drivers who have driven the cars and the designers that have worked to develop the tires for it. So I'm going to hand it off to the guys that are in the, basically in the trenches during the race, so that they can tell you about the strategy and what we're working on for the next 24 hours or 40 hours of our lives. But please, by all means, feel free when you see us, anytime, anywhere, afterwards or in the paddock, and you have a question about Michelin, the tires, what's best for your car, why things are the way they are, please always feel free to stop us and ask, because that's one of the reasons we're here, not just to race, but to learn and interact with the community that makes it so special for us. So I'm going to hand that off to Ken, because I'm going to stop talking, because I can talk about tires all day. So.
Morning, everyone. Who's excited to see Ollie's performance and putting the Corvette on the pole this weekend for GTL? Great way to start the season. Now for a trivia question. A mere 45 years ago, I attended my first 24 hours of Daytona. What car won the GT class in the over 2-liter division in 1970? Owens Corning Corvette. So we need to have a repeat performance and have the Corvette take the GTLM class this weekend. Another little trivia question that plays into the notion of we race to learn first and foremost. We want super performance for our tires. We want to take technology from our racing endeavors, translate it to the street, which Lee has admirably done using tools developed in motorsports to help him get the optimum performance out of the tires for the amazing new C7 Corvettes. Ollie Gavin's lap time was a 1:43.8 in qualifying. GT car. How many remember the Porsche 917K, the car that won the 24 hours here in 1970? Ollie's lap time for qualifying was 4.9 seconds faster than the 917K's best race lap time, and even faster than the pole qualifying time overall for the prototypes in 1970. Wow. And those cars didn't have that pesky bus stop chicane to slow them down on the back of the oval. So they were truly honking into turns 3 and 4 on the oval. So I think it speaks enormously of how the technology has developed. The Corvette doesn't have the 200+ mile-an-hour top speed of a 917K here, but what it does have is an incredible level of cornering and braking and acceleration coming onto and off of the corners that's due in large part to how tire and chassis development have worked hand in hand. And we truly work as a partnership with Corvette, whether it's for the race team or for the road cars. We're fortunate this weekend to also have a couple of other engineers with us in the back, as are Alex and Ryan. They're over from our team in France. Alex is the tire developer for the GT tires, and Ryan is a performance analysis engineer that is working on simulation and modeling tools. He has planted himself at the end of the bench in the pit box with Corvette and is busily blasting away on a keyboard this weekend. It's part of the learning curve, getting to understand the cars, the track, the teams, to help us do a better job in the real world with our competition tires, but also with our race tires. This weekend we have engineers like Lee and Eric embedded with the teams. They're our eyes and ears with the team to make sure our product gets used correctly to the best advantage of the teams. We lease our tires to the teams. So if you wander by our compound where we're mounting and balancing, which you're welcome to, don't try and take a souvenir home. You're likely to get your hand slapped. We don't leave the track until every piece and every tire is accounted for. And that's because what we put into our tires in design, materials, technology is confidential. We don't want the other guys to know what it is because it gives us an advantage. We strive to have a balance of total performance. You may see total performance on the sidewalls of our tires. That speaks to the same philosophy of road and track of we want excellent wear, we want excellent traction, we want very good drivability, It's easy to build a tire that does one thing very well. It's much harder to build a tire that does everything really well, like the C7 tires that Lee has cooked up. So our engineers are there to help the teams find the right pressures, the right cambers, the settings, and the right strategy, because there's more than one flavor tire to work with this weekend. And with that, I'll let Lee speak a little bit more about how he's directly working with the Corvette team. Then we'll follow up with questions should you have any.
Thanks, Ken and Sarah. It's hard for me to follow behind these guys because I'm paid to keep my mouth shut and sit in front of a computer and look at data. But they explained it very well, the relationship that goes on. So I'll just try to tell you a little bit about more of the technical things that go on. So when I'm in the pit, we have a choice of tires. We usually bring a soft, medium, and hard type tire, or different variations, like a level that's between soft and medium, or a level that's between medium and hard, and for different temperatures. And we might actually even bring a different type of compound and construction when we go to different tracks. And being in the team, getting all the feedback from the race car drivers, as well as working with the engineers, really helps us to make sure we have exactly the right compound on the tire, with the tire on the car. Another thing I do is we have a limited number of tires, so we're always managing the number of tires that we have, make sure that we can, sometimes I believe IMSA imposes a rule, number of sets you can have. Yeah, so we only have a certain number of sets of tires. So I'm always working with the team to make sure we don't waste sets, we don't use too many, we save them for the right time to use. It's a very precise point in the day and night when you want to change from one compound to another. So that's my job to do, is to look at track temperature, look how the guys are driving, see how the lap times are, and work with the team to change the tires over. We have rain tires here as well, and some of those rain tires, we will carve them. I'll work with the team to pick out what kind of carving patterns we have, as well as go back to our compound and work with the guys to make sure that the tread patterns are carved right. I think we're going to be a dry race, so we'll go hard and not have to worry about that. And it'll be cool, so that'll play into the strategy as well too. They're saying 39 degrees tomorrow morning, so that will tend for us to point us towards using the softer compound tires to get the maximum grip. Outside of the track, when I go back to my job on Monday, I will be working on designing street tires for these cars. We have some cuts over here. Sarah can pass them around. And Sarah, I want you to, I have two cuts from the C7 Stingray Z51. How many of you guys have a new car? If you guys got any questions about that, please ask them at the end, or I hope everything's going right with that. And then we also have some development tires from the new 2015 Z07, which are on this beautiful white car right here. Those are the PS Cup 2 GTs. And Sarah, show them how to feel the stiffness difference.
So, you got your inside and your outside shoulder. So, kind of take note. Lee's going to go into more detail about why maybe this could matter a little bit, but give it a little love squeeze and see if you notice a difference between the sidewalls and the shoulder stiffness.
You guys remember squeezing the Charmin commercials from 1970? So I'm the guy in the tire shop all the time squeezing the sidewalls. But what we have there, it being a run flat tire, that gives us more structure to work with. And we have a kind of a business side of the tire, and then we have the inside of the tire is designed so it can give the run flat capability in case you need it, which really doesn't happen a lot, but it also is designed stiffer so it transfers torques and cornering forces a lot better from the wheel to the road. The outside of the tire is very soft, and that's the grip side of the tire, the contact side of the tire. When you load into a corner at 1G, and you know that GM published the max skid pad capability of these tires is 1.2 Gs on this car right here. That softer, suppler outside sidewall allows you the contact patch to grow and get more grip. And that's where we really get the high level of grip on that car. So that's one of the really easy, unique things to see on there. Also in these tires, we use compounding technology that was developed in our race shops in Europe. Same type of family of compounds, the same molecules and mixing techniques that we use to make Le Mans racing rubber and Tudor Series racing rubber. So that's another great transfer of technology. Another thing I want you guys might notice on the Cup 2 tires is the tread pattern. If you look at these cuts we're passing around the room here, and then come over here and look at this production car, you'll notice a really subtle difference in the tread pattern. And I brought these just to show you that we really work hand in hand with the guys at General Motors on Corvette, Taz Juttner, Jim Merrow, all those guys, as well as the guys here in the pit with Corvette Racing. And we changed the tread pattern as this car developed, as the horsepower increased, as aerodynamics evolved. And right before production, we went to a new tread pattern based on everything we learned here. And you'll notice, just remember in your mind what those look like and come look at these. The shoulder is a little bit more slickish. So it's, when I say slick, not in lack of grip, I mean slick tire, so that it grabs a little bit more, it grabs more grip in a dry handling situation. Anybody have a 2015 Z07? On the order. Good deal. Yeah, okay. Real quick on the 2015 Z07. Those tires are track specific, and when you pick up your car, notice that there's not a lot of rain grooving, there's not a lot of void in the tread pattern. So don't drive it in downpours. The tires are actually very good in just damp asphalt like this right here, but it's not made for any standing water. So that's just something to keep in mind. When you take it to the track, you're really going to enjoy it. That's a dry track.
For everyday tires, that would be Pilot Super Sports. Pilot Super Sport is
the recommendation for everyday tires would be the Pilot Super Sport. That's the tire that comes original equipment on the Z06, the standard Z06, and then you have the Z06 with the Z07 option. It goes more towards the race type tire, the slick. Actually, the Pilot Super Sport is also on all the Z51 Stingrays, and there's a set of those cuts going around there. You'll notice there's a lot wider rain channels and deeper tread depth. Another interesting piece of trivia with the Z51 package on the C7, those tire sizes, and you have the cuts here in your hand, they are narrower than the C6 Z51 or Grand Sport. So now on the C7 Grand Sport Z51 size, we have 245s in the front and 285s in the back. When the last generation C6 Corvette had 275s in the front and 325s in the back. So we went over an inch narrower on the current generation Stingray than what the old generation was, and we got more grip. And a lot of people, and even General Motors was amazed with that. Jim Merrow was very disappointed when Taz Juttner told him, you will use a narrower tire. They needed a narrow tire for engine, packaging, transmission, aerodynamics. They had to go to a narrower tire, but applying a lot of the track to street technology that we bring and we learned here, we were able to make a narrower tire with a higher grip level. So that really helped out a lot. Actually gives you guys better rolling resistance, fuel consumption, all that stuff comes into play there. Okay, let's just take a couple questions, and Eric and I have got to get to work. So, yes, sir.
All the race tires you bring, are they cars?
Yes, we have car-specific race tires, and they're, the Porsches are different. There's their rear engine, Corvette's front engine, Ferrari's mid-engine. Lots of times you'll see that you'll come up with a lot different tire design just based on where the engine configuration is and the work that we do with our partners.
But that being said, at this particular event, there's essentially the Porsche-specific variations And then there is the variations that are used by the rest of our technical partners, BMW, Corvette, Ferrari. When those tires are being developed though, we want to play fairly with all of our technical partners and all of the teams. So what's developed for Porsche is intended to give comparable performance with that unusual vehicle platform to what we would be developing for the Corvette or the BMW or the Ferrari. So we strive to keep a very equal playing field across all the competitors that we supply tires for. We understand, but we have to play nicely. We can't pick favorites, unfortunately.
Lee does. Lee does.
Yes, sir.
I got a sad story question for you.
Okay.
I got a Z51. I had it for 3 days, 90 miles, 3 nails in it, okay? A roofing nail straight into the tread, a screw on the side, and another nail in the sidewall. So I had it plugged just so I could drive the car, got a new tie, put it right on, okay? Is that thing plugged? Is it salvageable, or is it just throw it away?
We have an industry standard to deal with road hazard type punctures like that.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a puncture in the sidewall, we recommend that you don't repair that. But any puncture in the summit, as long as it's less than, what is that? It's about the size of a nice 2x4 nails. What is that?
It's about 6 millimeters or 1/4 inches, the max.
A 1/4 inch, yeah, a 1/4
Diameter.
inch max. And people do put plugs in there, but that plug is not going to stand up to the max speed of the car, or even a lot of driving. The best thing to do, and what we recommend is industry standard, is to go to your dealer or a service station, have them dismounted, and you use the standard patch
That's what they did.
sandpaper, glue.
That's what they did.
Put it back together,
Yeah.
and then that's fine to do for our run flat tires and Corvettes.
Okay, well that is what they did. I didn't really mean to plug. That is what they did. But I don't trust it. It speeds, so it's sitting in my garage if anyone wants it.
Maybe they'll buy it back. Does Daytona pose a different problem because you're on the high banking and flats as opposed to the other tracks?
Yes, sir. There is. That's a great question. The banking at Daytona really puts a lot of energy into the tires, so we have to be careful with pressures. And you guys should know this also. If you come to a club event at Daytona, you put more pressure in your tires. You don't want the tires to flex from the centrifugal acceleration against the banking. So
There's been a discrepancy. We've been told the board on our right side and our left over here. What's your recommendation?
That's not a bad thing to do. You have to make sure that it still gives you a good handling, because everybody's going to have a different feel for the way they let you drive the car. So normally you'll find that we'll put more pressure on the right side, and then when you get into the bus stop and the road course part of the track, you need to make sure that you're comfortable with the type of handling there.
One of the key considerations on the pressure front here, unlike say in Europe where they're allowed in the endurance races to use tire warmers, we can't do that. So the tires start out cold, and it's temperature's a function of, or pressure's a function of temperature. So as the tire temperatures build up, the pressure builds up. There's an optimum pressure that all of our engineers work with the teams to get, so the drivers like the performance and balance of the car. And we have to be very careful that we aren't starting at too low a pressure on that outlap here because of the stresses that are put in on the banking almost immediately before that pressure is built up to its final setting. So we work very hard. Our design team in France gives us guidelines and recommendations for camber and pressures that we share with the teams. So we're very diligent in looking at those values and making sure that the operating conditions the teams are using are going to ensure that the tire durability and reliability is where we need it to be throughout the stints that they run those tires. Alex is up here, who would normally do our giveaways. We're going to throw you a little curve ball today. that giveaway is going to be tomorrow at the mid-race update when we come back for an update on things. So we want to see how devoted you are to sticking it out through the race. So we're thinking maybe like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. Actually, it'll be tomorrow morning around 11:30. We'll be back to do the giveaway.
Here.
Here. We'll hang around for a few minutes if you have any questions you'd like to hit us with one-on-one. Thanks so much. Enjoy the race. I think it's going to be a great battle in GT again this year.
Thank you again, guys, for being here. Sarah, thanks for you and your team. Lee, everybody, you guys are great. Ken, thank you so much. Alex, okay, hang on to that box there, buddy. I want to give a big shout out to Lee, though. Over the years, he has come year in and year out to be here, to take the time from his schedule. I've seen him for like 9 years, and he's cost me a lot of money because all my kids now are driving cars with Michelin tires on them. And to be honest with you, it's kind of nice the other day, Lee, I want to tell you this. One of my daughter's husbands says, this Mustang, I know it's a Mustang, but he bought it, has never ridden better than when they put the Michelin Sport ASs on there. So thank you, Lee.
Thank you, buddy. It's appreciated. I've got every card in the thing. It all. Telling you.
It's pretty good. They're working on them all. We are.
Okay, I didn't know if you were